Hello everybody, it's Shelia Edwards here in my kitchen again, cooking up something good. I'm having a great day and I hope you all are having a great day too. If your day has not peaked in its happiness yet, maybe these Brussels sprouts that we're about to cook will help you out. I know some of y'all saying, not Brussels sprouts. Yeah, Brussels sprouts. We're cooking up Brussels sprouts today with a little bit of beer in them. And I understand. I used to not like Brussels sprouts either until I learned how to cook them. Now, I'm telling you, I will eat Brussels sprouts here. I'll eat them there. I'll eat Brussels sprouts anywhere because they're so good. So let's get in this kitchen and cook up some Brussels sprouts that you're going to love. I tell you, meet me over here in the bowl while we're prepping our Brussels sprouts to get them ready for the skillet. All right, I'll meet you there. What you see me doing here is prepping my Brussels sprout for the skillet. We are frying these up today and then smothering them down a little bit. Now I'm looking for any little tally leaves that I might see on these sprouts, and I cut them in half and put them in my bowl. So basically this is my colander where I usually wash my Brussels sprouts when I first bring them home and put them in a little bag, but I washed them again last night and put them in the colander to drain because I knew I was going to be cooking them today, and I'm checking for any little discolorations that I might see before I cut them in half and I'll put them in the bowl. You know, of course I drain them at night because I don't want any of that fresh water on there to be acting up with that oil when I put it in there. I'm not trying to get burnt, and I know you aren't either. So wash those at night and let them drain in a colander so all that water can pretty much be off them when you're ready to cook them up today. So that's all I'm doing is just cutting the ends off. And you know, with Brussels sprouts, you don't have to really wash them and scrub them like you do greens, because greens, they grow right there on the ground and they're a little bit closer to the dirt. And Brussels sprouts are on a stem, so they're not likely to get as dirty. But that's what I'm doing, just peeling off these little leaves and looking for any little discolorations there. And I'm putting them in over here in my garbage bowl. And yeah, just cut the ends off like so. Cut them in half and getting them ready. Okay, so we are here frying up our bacon. We're going to need this bacon to render down and get this fat and these wonderful drippings that bacon leaves in the skillet. That's what we're going to need for our Brussels sprouts. And you know, Brussels sprouts can be a little bitter, so the flavoring from this bacon really helps to put a lot of flavor into that vegetable. We are frying this bacon down. Now let me tell you, we're using pork bacon here. Now, I know some people have the preference for turkey bacon a lot, and turkey bacon is a choice that can be used here because turkey bacon has a little soft flavor in it also. But if you're using turkey bacon, you're going to have to put a little oil in this skillet because turkey bacon would not emit the type of oil that you're going to get out of the fattiness of pork bacon. So you can definitely put a little oil down in your pan and use turkey bacon as an option. But for this recipe, I'm using pork bacon because I found that it works best for me in this particular recipe. So we're getting this bacon all fried up. We want it to be very crisp for this recipe because at the end what we do is take this crisp bacon and we break it up, and we're going to bring it back into the Brussels sprouts at the end when it's at a very crispy state. But for right now, we're just going to scramble it up, and you know about how long it takes for bacon to scramble. We want it to be crisp. not any limp parts of the bacon that we don't want to use. We want some good cooked down Brussels sprouts with that crisp bacon on it. And so I'm kind of lifting it up, you can see, to make sure that it's browning up the way I need it to. And you notice this is my voiceover here with this video. Something happened during the taping. I'm not really sure, but as technology will have it, anything go wrong, it can. You see I'm flipping over a few pieces right here as they're browning on one side. I want to flip them over so that they can brown evenly. But yeah, I had a little tech problems here, and it did not record my voice during this part, but that's all I was doing. I was scrambling the bacon, and that's cooking 101, scrambling up some bacon, and honey, this bacon is smelling up in here. I love the smell of bacon in the morning, but in this case we're cooking Brussels sprouts, and it's almost lunchtime here, so people probably passing by my house saying, what in the world is Shelia doing in here, just getting up, and it's almost 1 o'clock and she's just getting up cooking her breakfast. But honey, they just don't know there's some good old Brussels sprouts about to happen up in here, and I'm getting this bacon crisped up and everything ready for my Brussels sprouts. So yeah, we just want to cook this down, and this bacon looks like it's going to render about the right amount of fat that we're going to need for the amount of Brussels sprouts that we're cooking today. So I want to get it cooked down. I want it crisped up really well, and you can see in the center they are frying up a little bit faster than those on the end, but nevertheless they're all going to crisp up and get to the place where I need them to be for this recipe. So yes, I'm going to let them keep just frying here and doing what they need to do, taking your time. Not the skillet is not up too high nor too low. It's on a medium here. Yeah, I had it on a medium, and to get my bacon all crisp up and ready for these Brussels sprouts. I can't hardly wait, because this is one of my really good recipes here, and I've had people to eat my Brussels sprouts who declared that they did not like Brussels sprouts. But honey, I used to not eat them, because when I remember when I first started trying to cook Brussels sprouts, I thought I was supposed to boil them in a little water and put a little salt and pepper on them like I did cabbage, because that's what they look like, little cabbages. But no, honey, in my later years I came across this frying bacon and putting my Brussels sprouts in them, and I tell you now, honey, I have never looked back. Brussels sprouts and this scrambled up bacon, honey, that's the business for me. So I got them up here. They're just the bacon is just about crisping up, and I got my bowl over here already. So I'm just gonna let this this bacon continue to scramble here, and when it brown on both sides, we'll come right back with that. We're back here with our bacon. It's all browned up, and I'm flipping it over just to make sure that I don't have any fatty parts on there. So and the grease is looking well down here. Pretty much a good amount that we're going to need. So I'm going to shake this bacon off to get that little grease out of there, and I'm putting it into our bowl. And you don't necessarily need a receiver, a cloth down, a towel to receive the grease, because we're not eating this bacon per se right out of the pan. We're just getting it ready for our Brussels sprouts. Okay. Now our pan is ready. We have the drippings left in there, and to that same pan I am adding the onions. We're gonna saute these onions in these baking drippings, and we're gonna do this until the onions are a little translucent to the, not caramelized. We're not trying to do that to the onions, but we're going to do this for maybe about a minute until they're looking a little translucent and you can see the edges of the onions start to brown just a little bit. That's why we need them before we add the Brussels sprouts, because the Brussels sprouts are going to go on in here for a little while with the onions. And I always put my onions in just a little bit before, not long before the Brussels sprouts, but just a little bit before those Brussels sprouts until they start to smell fragrant. And I can smell the smell of the onions already cooking down with these bacon drippings. And I tell you, that is a good smell. And so yes, pretty soon here I'm going to add my garlic to these onions, right before I add my Brussels sprouts, because I need that flavor to start waking up already before the Brussels sprouts join the party. I need them to be like the DJ to get everything pumped up before we put the Brussels sprouts in there and let them come on in and just take over the show. But yeah, the onions are coming together nicely. I'm starting to see that little brown edge that I want to see. And I see I got a little piece of bacon in there too, but that's all right. The bacon is in there doing its thing too. Everybody comes in this skillet and they play nicely. So I'm getting this all ready for my garlic that I'm going to be putting in here in just a second. It's still me doing the voiceover, because as I said, that this audio part got a little out of whack up in here, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I'm the cook. I'm not the tech person, but when you're trying to do these videos, you're all of them. So yeah, I'm getting ready. Yeah, I'm putting my garlic in here right now, and that's about a half teaspoon of garlic that I'm adding there, and this was about a little less than half a cup of onions that I have in here, and we're just kind of moving that all around and getting ready to receive the garlic. Getting ready to receive the Brussels sprouts, and there they are. And that's a nice size amount of Brussels sprouts there. I want to say that this was 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts. Yeah, 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts that I used with this recipe. Little fresh Brussels sprouts, and I have never tried this recipe with frozen Brussels sprouts, so I'm not really sure how that works. They might work fine because Brussels sprouts are a sturdy little vegetable there. So, but I always kind of do them fresh Brussels sprouts with my crisp bacon. So I'm letting this Brussels sprout go in this pan for a little while because I'm wanting it to char up, not burn, but get it to char up. And I'm just adding just a little bit of salt here, just a little bit of salt, because as I told you, I don't fool with that salt too much, because sometimes you have people over to eat your food with you, and people have high blood pressure or something, and they say, oh, this is good, and just fall on down in there and start eating it right along with you. And I'm also putting just a little bit of cracked pepper in here, and it doesn't take much to season up these Brussels sprouts. I don't want a lot of different things in there. I just want just some basic. I want to taste the freshness of that Brussels sprout, as well as I want the crispiness of that bacon. So I just put just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I got my garlic, I got my onions in there, and so everybody's happy. My Brussels sprouts gonna char up nicely for me, and then we're gonna be ready to ease on down the road with this little recipe. So I'll be back with you once these are charred up just a little bit, and we'll be back with the next stage of this recipe. All right, let's get it going. So you're able to see here that that little char is coming. They're a little slippery here, but let me show you. You see that little char there? That's what we're looking for. Not burnt, Not burnt, but char. And they are a little softer now, a little softer. So I needed some of those to brown up, and I've cooked them for 10 minutes. So basically, they've been in here with the onions, I guess about 12 minutes, because I cooked them for 2 minutes with you before I turned off and let them char up a little bit. So they've been in here now for about 12, maybe 13 minutes. But you'll know when you start to see a little bit of that brown on them. Now they were browning up nicely, but I wasn't seeing as much brown as I wanted to. So I did pour 1 tablespoon of olive oil over in this skillet to get a little bit more browning going on. And now when these are cooking, don't continuously stir them, or they would not have an opportunity to brown down there with that bacon drippings. But since they got enough brown on them for me now, and you still see that pretty green on them, so that we're still in the healthy part of it, because sometimes we can cook the health out of some food. So now I'm going to add to this, what's that? I have about a half cup of beer. And that beer, hear that? Yeah, that beer is going to pull the rest of those drippings off the bottom of this skillet. And I'm going to stir these around in here. And I'm cooking this oh, that beer smells good to me. That yeast smell. Gosh, I love that. So I can't drink it. I cannot drink beer, but I sure can cook with it and eat the beer. So yeah, we're going to let this beer kind of thicken up down there in these sprouts. And then y'all know what? In no time, we're going to be eating. I'm going to let this cook about, I'm going to say 3 minutes. 3 minutes that beer should have absorbed in all of this sprout. And what I'm doing is moving my sprouts around so all of them can get a little bit of that beer down in there. That's what I want, all of them to be happy and say, Mama loves all of us, Shelia loving all of us, she letting all of us get some of this beer. So they're getting down in there, getting that beer is pulling those drippings up off the bottom of this pan. And we're going to let this go about 3 minutes. About 3 minutes, yeah. And then we're going to finish this up, okay? So these Brussels sprouts have cooked for an additional 3 minutes. 3 minutes, that's what I had them on, so had them, at. So now, they are ready. This is ready. The last thing I'm going to put in here before I add my bacon back in here is a little bit of this complete. Y'all remember I told you all about, I hope you can see that. You all remember I told you all about this complete. Complete does what its name implies. It completes a dish. It's really good on vegetables. Now this complete has a little bit more salt in it, and it has dehydrated onions and garlic, and then they say other spices. I don't know what the other is. The other might be just good. So I put that complete on there with that beer is already down in there, and you can smell it nicely. Now like I told you, I don't put a lot of salt in my food, but I invite you all, after you cook this, after you put just that little tiny bit of salt that I added in here, I'm going to go and turn this off. After you put that little tiny bit of salt in there that I talked to you all about in the beginning, when I added a little salt and pepper, I put just a tad bit in there. But if you want, once it's finished cooking and you want to kind of, this is my food, so you taste and say, oh yeah, I want a little bit more salt, I don't want a little bit more salt. Let it cook through and sit for a minute, and then you might see you don't need all that salt. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm adding these, remember the bacon that we fried in the beginning, I'm adding that too at the end, at the very end. I've turned my eye off. I don't need that heat no more because I don't want to overcook my Brussels sprouts here. And then I'm just pulling that together. And some people at this stage, once everything is finished cooking and cool just a minute, some people add a little Parmesan to that. And I think when I put it on my plate, I'm going to put a little Parmesan. But I don't put Parmesan in this whole dish because, like I say, when I cook with the thought in mind that anybody might drop by and want some. I don't cook it like, well, this is how I like it. I cook it how I like it with the thought of my friends also. So y'all look at that. Would y'all look at that? Do y'all see that? That bacon is still crunchy. Yes, the bacon is still crunchy. These Brussels sprouts have still got some pretty green in there. I can see that char on some of them. Honey, I am ready to eat. I wish you were here to eat a little bit with me, but we're ready. All right, y'all. I'm here about to enjoy the fruit of my labor, these wonderful Brussels sprouts. Now, I waited for y'all this time, and y'all know I get to eat before the company gets here. But y'all here in the room, so now I'm ready to eat. I went on to put a little Parmesan on top of my Brussels sprouts. That's, of course, optional, but if you haven't tried it, Parmesan on top of your Brussels sprouts before, try it. So I got me a little bit of Brussels sprout, a little bit of this crunchy bacon. G-O-O-D to the last drop. Last bite. That's how I'm going to stop saying last drop. Last bite. These Brussels sprouts with this crunchy bacon and that beer in the background. When last time you've been in a fight? Honey, if you tell me that after you cook these Brussels sprouts like I told you to, if you tell me after you cook these and eat them that you still don't like Brussels sprouts, put up the dukes, because we're going to fight. Because this right here, baby, it's something kind of good. I invite you all to cook them. Try them. Try them before you just declare you do not like Brussels sprouts. I want to ask you all to try this too. Subscribe to my channel. Give me a little bit of like on this. Show me some love. I need that love, y'all. And then leave me a little comment after you cook your Brussels sprouts with a little bit of beer in it and that crunchy bacon. Leave me a comment. Tell me how much you like it then. Alright? Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you all next time in this Boozin Food Kitchen.